Welcome back to the channel. This is Simon Cromer, and today we're going to be talking about the difference between marine detailing versus auto detailing, because the reality is they are very different. So we're going to be talking about the components that make up gel coat. We're going to be talking about the components that make up clear coat. We're going to be discussing what machines to use to finish out these surfaces, what products to use to finish out these surfaces, and then we're going to be talking about, is it okay to wet sand, and kind of a little bit more of an explanation on wet sanding on gel coat versus clear coat. And then to top it off, we're going to talk about awl-grip versus Imron. So this is going to be a mini crash course in the making. Guys, before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button now, and be sure to turn on bell notifications so that every single time I release a video, you will be notified. And with that said, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the components of gel coat versus clear coat. What do we know about the thickness of gel coat versus the thickness of clear coat? Now guys, keep in mind that in this video, I may use two words interchangeably. So if I say fiberglass, what I'm referring to is gel coat, and if I say paint, what I'm referring to is clear coat. Now, what do we know about the thickness of gel coat? Well, on average, gel coat is sprayed at 1/16 of an inch. So you might not think that that's a lot of material or surface to work with, but in reality, it is, especially when we compare this with clear coat. So what are the benefits of this? Well, if we're buffing, if we're polishing, if we're wet sanding, we're going to have more material to work with, and we're not going to have to worry as much about burning through the gel coat while we're doing this process. Now, what are the benefits of the gel coat in terms of the marine environment? Well, we're always getting water on the boat, and we're always getting oxidation, and we're always getting sunlight. So all of these things slowly diminish the thickness of your gel coat over time. So as the years go by, your surface is getting thinner and thinner, and that is just the reality of it. So it's really good that we have 1/16 of an inch to work with. Otherwise, we might be respraying our boat every 5, every 10 years. So on the flip side, paint, on the other hand, is actually smaller than 1/16 of an inch. And believe it or not, it's actually paper thin. So we have to be really careful when we're buffing and when we're polishing to make sure that we're not going to burn through the clear coat. So very different surfaces to work with. We have a soft, porous, thick surface, and on the other hand, we have a very hard, durable, and super thin coating when it comes to clear coat. Which surface is more prone to scratching? Well, believe it or not, that is going to be clear coat, because clear coat is a very hard finish. So any scratches, any nicks we get in that coating, we're going to see bright as day. And on the flip side, gel coat is more soft, it's more porous, it's going to hide more scratches, it's going to be more flexible, whereas paint, not so much. So we really want to be careful, because the other thing about clear coat is it really brings out shine and color, where gel coat does not do that as much. And also keep in mind, clear coat, we're working with a lot of cars, we're working with a lot of colored paints, and we really got to know that when we're getting scratches, these colors are really going to show with clear coat. Which surface is more prone to chemicals? Well, this is an interesting question, and we have pros and cons to each surface when we talk about different situations. Now, when we talk about clear coat is going to be more prone to actually being dissolved by an acid or a degreaser, because it's thinner and it's not intended for this type of environment. Whereas gel coat, on the other hand, it's thicker, it's intended for a harsh marine environment, and it can withstand acids such as muriatic acid and heavy degreasers. Now, when it comes to being absorbed, well, gel coat is going to absorb more acids, more degreasers, and paint or clear coat, on the other hand, is going to reject. So when it comes to actually being dissolved, well, gel coat wins here. When it comes to rejecting, like bird droppings, for example, it's going to be a lot easier to clean off of clear coat versus gel coat. So clear coat is going to win in terms of absorption. Which one holds up better against sunlight? Well, gel coat is going to get the win here. It's thicker, it's able to handle more of this type of environment. Clear coat, on the other hand, not so much. If you leave a car out in the sunlight down here in Florida, you're going to notice your clear coat is going to be gone rather quickly. So heat, sunlight, not very good for clear coat, and it's also not good for gel coat, but gel coat can withstand it better. Which one is more prone to oxidation? Well, because of the chemical makeup of gel coat, we get a lot of oxidation with gel coat, where on the flip side, clear coat, pretty much no oxidation, not going to be a major drawback. It takes many years for clear coat to oxidize, whereas gel coat, on the other hand, gonna oxidize very rapidly. Which surface is easier to repair? Well, I'm certainly no fiberglass or no clear coat expert, but when it comes to repairs, clear coat is gonna be easier to repair. It's gonna take less time, and it's gonna be easier to color match because we know that clear coat does not oxidize or change color like gel coat does. So we can just take the factory color, we can respray it on with a spray gun, and then we can blend it in by buffing, and it's going to be super simple. Now, on the other hand, gel coat takes a lot longer to repair, going to be super hard to color match, even just after 1 year, and it's going to take a lot more time, a lot more sanding. So very different process. Definitely clear coat gets the win on being easier to repair. And for the last question on the components of gel coat versus clear coat, which one looks better? Well, I do love a nice, fresh, clean gel coat, but you gotta admit nothing beats a clear coat. When you talk about marine paints, awl-grip, Imron, these finishes are beautiful. And when we talk about cars, beautiful finishes really brings out a ton of color, a ton of shine. Gotta admit that clear coat gets the win here. Let's go ahead and bring machines into the picture. Now, when we're working on gel coat, the rotary buffer is going to be your best friend because we have a lot of oxidation. We're going to be using a wool pad almost every single year, depending on how you're maintaining and keeping up on your boat. So definitely the rotary and a wool pad are going to be your best friend on gel coat pretty much all the time. Now, on the flip side, when you're working on clear coat, when you're working on cars, marine paints, you really don't want to take out the buffer a whole lot because remember, we have a very thin paper-like surface and we don't want to take off a lot of material. So instead, the DA polisher with a microfiber pad, which is a similar version to the wool pad, it's just less aggressive and it's going to take out scratches. So we know that we don't really have to remove oxidation with clear coat. All we have to do is remove the scratches. So the biggest flaw with clear coat is scratches. The biggest flaw with gel coat is going to be oxidation. So that's why we use a rotary buffer on gel coat because that's what takes out oxidation. On the flip side, we have our dual action polisher, we have our microfiber pad. We're going to be able to take out a lot of scratches. So those are the differences in the machines that you want to use on gel coat versus clear coat. When it comes to secondary machines, what comes to mind for me is the FA polisher. So the Rubez Millie, the Flex 3401 VRG is going to be a secondary machine for both gel coat or clear coat. Now, they have very different purposes for each, but I'm going to explain what these are for. Now, a forced action machine is gear driven, which means it does not stop. So depending on how much power or how much pressure you're putting on the machine, it still will not stop. So it's very powerful, really good for scratch removal. And if we're working on gel coat, we did a sanding job and then we went ahead and followed up with the rotary buffer. This is a good second step to run with a foam pad to take out more scratches. Now on the flip side, clear coat in general is just more prone to scratches. So if you have a black or a red or just a car in general that has a lot of scratches, this might be a good first machine to use. It's going to be more rare, which is why I put it as a secondary machine. But the Flex, the Rubez Millie could be a good option to take out heavy scratches with a foam pad on clear coat. Just keep in mind that clear coat is a little bit thinner. Still want to be careful here. Make sure we're not burning surfaces. So always keep the machine moving. When it comes to a third machine for gel coat versus clear coat, here's what I got in mind. Well, the third machine for gel coat is going to be a dual action polisher or a DA. And the reason for that is because the dual action polisher is not super effective in the restoration process of gel coat. Only good for applying waxes, polymer sealants, and if you're going to do a sanding job, it could be useful to you. So that's why I listed a dual action polisher as the third machine to use in gel coat restoration. Now, when we're talking about clear coat, the third machine is going to be a rotary buffer. So we really pretty much never want to use a rotary buffer or a wool pad on a paint or on a clear coat because it's just simply super aggressive and a lot easier to burn. We know that these machines heat up really hot, especially when we're working with rotaries and wool pads. So we don't really want to burn the clear coat. No reason to use this. This is very old school and really should only be used if you do see oxidation, which again is going to take many years in clear coat, but try to stick with your dual action polisher and your microfiber. Going to be a lot safer for many people. Now we're going to dive into restoring gel coat versus clear coat. So let's go ahead and start with gel coat. When it comes to gel coat and restoring gel coat, we want to look for a compound around 6 to 800 grit. That is where we want to start. This is going to be great for restoring oxidation in gel coat. So what are my favorite brands and what are some of my favorite products for this? Well, Stark Level R, 3M Heavy, Presta Supercut, going to be great products for doing our single first step in compounding our gel coat to restore it. And once we finish that step with our rotary and our wool pad, we want to jump into polishing. And this is where we talk about Start to Elevate, 3M Perfected, great polishes that are going to set you up perfectly for doing your application of your sealant or your ceramic coating. So why do we have to do a polish? Well, a polish is going to shine up the surface after your compound, because compound is not going to do that. It's going to leave some light scratches in your bow, and it's going to kind of, it's going to bring that shine back. It's really going to cut out a lot of oxidation, but it's not like that final finish type of product that you want. So we're going to have to finish up with a polish, and that's going to shine up the surface, remove more scratches. So, if we're running the FA polisher like the Rupes Milli or the Flex 3401 VRG, we can run that with a foam pad with Elevate or 3M Perfected. That'll be a good polish, and that's going to be our second step in the restoration process. And then third, we're going to follow up with a polymer sealant such as Gelcoat Ultra Lock or maybe Stark Hyper Hold Pro. These are going to be great options for protecting your surface for about 6 months. And then if you want a little bit more protection, well, you can jump into ceramic coatings to get you, 12 months to 24-month protection. Stark Yacht Care, Underdog, all these are great brands. And this is how we're going to restore gel coat. So it goes from heavy compound to a polish to a polymer sealant or a ceramic coating. So you have 3 steps here. It's going to be compound, polish, protection. Now, let's go ahead and talk about clear coat. Clear coat is going to be very different to restore than gel coat. So when we were talking about gel coat, we had to start around 600 to 800 grit to really get aggressive and take out oxidation and really create a lot of heat. Now, on the flip side, with clear coat, we don't need to do this because we don't have oxidation in clear coat. So instead, we can start around 1500 grit. So already keep in mind that these surfaces, very different. You're going to be using very different products, very different machines to restore both of these surfaces effectively. And what are some of my favorite compounds and brands to restore clear coat with? Well, Adams Polishes is a great brand, and so is Minzerna. Some of my favorite products are going to be Adams Compound and Minzerna 400 to start with, around that 1500 grit range to take out heavy scratches. So go ahead and run your dual action polisher, your microfiber pad with Minzerna 400 or Adams Compound. Going to be great first step in restoring your clear coat. Now, second up, again, we're still going to want to follow up with a polish, just like we did with gel coat, because we still have micro scratches in the clear coat, because clear coat is very prone to scratching. So we're still going to have to take out more scratches. And what this is going to do ultimately is shine up your surface even further. So definitely follow up with a polish such as Adams polish or the second step in the Minzerna line, which I don't remember off the top of my head what that is, but that's going to be great for restoring the polish into your clear coat. So after you do that, it's going to be very similar to protection. So when we talked about gel coat protection, it's going to be very similar to clear coat protection. So we can use a polymer sealant such as Stark Yacht Care's Hyper Hold Pro or Gelcoat Ultra Lock. And just keep in mind that, when we're working with clear coat, we're actually going to get further durability because we have a stronger bond with clear coat, because it's just a fresher and a more hard surface, very easy to bond with, versus gel coat, well, not so easy. So with a polymer sealant, we can expect 6 to 12 months on clear coat. And if you want further protection, go ahead, go with the ceramic coating. Going to be 24 to 36 months on average with clear coat. So, again, start Repel Pro. Or you can also go with G-Technic or, again, Underdog. All of these are great brands to use when protecting clear coat. So we can already see the differences in the protection and the machines. Very different gel coat versus clear coat. So, don't act like these are the same. A lot of people treat these as the same surface, but they simply are not the same surface. Very different components, very different makeups, and very different thicknesses. So that is how you restore and use products on gel coat versus clear coat. Now on to the big question. Can we wet sand these surfaces? Well, with gel coat, absolutely. Now, just keep in mind that you really don't want to wet sand your gel coat more than once or twice. So 2 is your max. You do not want to sand your gel coat more than twice in its lifetime. It's going to really damage and disintegrate and just, dissolve that gel coat very rapidly. So when it comes to sanding, we can go with 400, 600, 800. These are going to be okay with gel coat, and then we can just finish those out and go ahead and go with our compounding, our polishing process. Now on the flip side, can we sand clear coat? Yes, we can, but we want to, stay on the less aggressive side. So maybe 2000 grit And just keep in mind that it's a lot easier to sand through clear coat than it is gel coat. So, you pretty much get one shot at this with your clear coat and then you're done. No more wet sanding for you, or you're gonna really, really risk burning through and actually getting through that clear coat. So sanding, not really favorable on clear coat, but more favorable for gel coat. And definitely a lot easier to remove oxidation with sanding rather than buffing sometimes. So just keep that in mind. Very different surfaces, and definitely a lot easier to use with gel coat. That brings us to the question that I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering about. Are auto clear coats different than marine clear coats? And the simple answer to that is yes, they typically are, because typically in the marine industry, we are using awl-grip, all-craft, or Imron, which are single stage paints, which work great in the marine environment, have a great shine. A lot of people are liking these finishes for their boats. On the other hand, in the modern world, for auto clear coat, we are using acrylic polyurethane. We're using two-stage paint. So yes, they are a little different. Now let's go ahead and talk about the differences between awl-grip versus Imron, two of the most popular paint finishes in the marine industry. What do we know about awl-grip? Well, awl-grip is becoming extremely popular in the marine industry, and for many reasons. Number one, it leaves a beautiful finish. So if you see an awl-grip hull, beautiful, absolutely stunning, but we need to keep in mind there are a few things that we can and cannot do with the surface. Now, what do we know about awl-grip in the component and the makeup? Well, it's a polyester urethane resin, so it is different. It's not an acrylic polyurethane, it's a polyester urethane resin, and it's a single stage top coat, and it is extremely durable, extremely hard type of finish, and that's why it's being used more commonly in the marine industry. We're seeing a lot of good things with this type of finish, and it's lasting long, and it's keeping its shine and its durability throughout the year. So what do we know about polyester molecules versus acrylic molecules? Well, polyester molecules are super, super, super small, and that is why we have that extremely durable type of finish. So with awl-grip, we're getting that extreme durability that we're not going to be getting with Imron or different types of clear coat finishes. So we got to keep in mind though, as a detailer, from a detailing perspective, we cannot sand, absolutely no sanding on this type of finish. So no sanding on awl-grip, no buffing, or you're going to damage, and no acids, nothing like that. All that stuff is going to burn right through awl-grip. So awl-grip takes special care. You have to keep up on it, keep it protected, but absolutely no buffing, no sanding on awl-grip. Imron, on the other hand, is very different. Imron is also a very popular option in the marine industry. Sometimes it is used on trucks, more commonly trucks in the auto world, but pretty much going to be used on marine, environments and marine paints. A great option. Why? Because it's super durable, super shiny. This is going to be an acrylic resin, so it's not a polyester, it's an acrylic resin, so not as durable as awl-grip. But the great thing with this is, again, it's a single stage top coat, very durable, but you can sand and you can buff this type of surface. So that's an advantage of Imron, is you can buff, you can sand. We're seeing a great hold up in the marine environment against salt, against sunlight, all this great stuff. So Imron definitely wins here. Really a good option to use with your boat. And Imron is going to be, again, very similar with all-craft. So I'm not going to really talk about all-craft here, but Imron is going to be your single stage top coat, your acrylic, and it's going to be a quality, durable option that you can sand and buff in the marine environment. So these are your two most common, I feel like, marine paints that we're going to see. So awl-grip, Imron, I did want to touch on these because these are very special. They are new. They're not as common, as your typical Gelcoat boat that everybody sees. So, and with that said, that is going to be a wrap to the video. So we covered the components of Gelcoat versus clear coat, what machines to use, what compounds, what polishes to use, can you wet sand these surfaces, and then we finished out by talking about Imron and awl-grip, the most popular paints or clear coats used in the marine industry. So guys, I hope you liked the video. If you did, leave a like, drop a comment. I want to hear your thoughts. Be sure to share this video with other people. And again, if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button now. And I will see you on the next video. Peace out.